Let's dive right into this explainer and unravel one of the ancient world's most dangerous religious mysteries. The text pulls literally no punches. It opens with intense, divine hatred directed at a very specific, enigmatic group. So who were the Nicolaitans? To find out, we've got to treat this like a real ancient historical investigation. Linguistically, the Greek codename Nikolaos and the Hebrew Balaam both translate perfectly to destroyer of the people. Early writers blamed a guy named Nicholas, but modern historians highly suspect this was just an invented genealogy. So what exactly were the Nicolaitans doing to spark such fierce, apocalyptic condemnation? Basically, they blatantly violated absolute rules, specifically by indulging in idol meat and sexual immorality at pagan banquets. This was porneia. It's a double crime, literal sexual misconduct plus absolute spiritual treason against their faith. They used a slick theological loophole, claiming since only the spirit mattered, outward pagan participation was completely harmless. They even invented rituals to allegedly exorcise demonic meat. Talk about separating inner devotion from outward actions, right? But why would these early believers risk literal divine wrath just to attend a pagan dinner party? Economic survival required joining mandatory trade guilds, which strictly meant honoring pagan gods just to do business. So Nicolaitanism was just a desperate, pragmatic way to dodge total poverty and starvation in the Roman Empire. But this pragmatic compromise quickly mutated into a deadly contagion, totally infiltrating the leadership of the early churches. You can track this terrifying, worsening trajectory spreading like wildfire across 3 different ancient cities. The heresy escalated dramatically, from an outsider whispering bad advice to an insider enforcing apostasy from the throne. The sect definitely boasted about their profound spiritual liberty, but the text sarcastically unmasks their doctrine as satanic. Pressure absolutely peaked in Pergamum, the bustling capital of emperor worship. Refusing civic cults there literally meant death. And this wasn't some empty threat. A local believer named Antipas was already executed for his faithful resistance. Rome held the ius gladiae, the right of the sword. The Nicolaitans totally compromised to dodge this earthly blade. In response, a terrifying divine counter-threat is issued to anyone using this theological loophole just to stay safe. It's a really stark contrast, Rome's temporary, earthly sword of survival versus the divine, absolute sword of judgment. This dramatic revelation completely flips the script. Compromising to save your life will ultimately, definitely destroy it. Ultimately, this explainer shows how the early community desperately struggled to survive without surrendering to the pagan empire. Which leaves us with a final provocative question. What would you do if your survival demanded total compromise?